Welcome to the Griff from the Vault. I'm your host, Kelsie Johnston, and today I'm joined by Amanda Erickson, our photo editor, to take a deep dive into this month's magazine. This spooky season, the Griff decided to take a little bit of a different approach to the things that scare us, which means this month we're talking about AI, and specifically this month's magazine hinges around Amanda's article all about AI companionships. That's why she's here today, to talk us through her article, what she learned, and to discuss why AI makes us feel so afraid. Then we'll get into our Fall Fest recap. And lastly, we'll take a look at a contributor photo that was sent in. And while this may be an audio podcast, who better than to talk you through the visuals than our photo editor, Amanda. Thank you, Amanda, so much for being here with me today.
Of course, anytime.
This month, we've been talking all about AI and kind of the more scary side of AI. But what this month's magazine really features around is your article, and that's AI companionships.
Oh, yeah.
Which was a fascinating read, a little terrifying at times, especially like the interview with the AI companion. I felt a little unnerved, a little bit. Where did you get this idea for the article?
Okay, so I was a staunch ChatGPT AI hater for a very, very long time. And then, I don't know, I kind of got to the point where you see it now coming into your syllabus, you see it coming into your life in like through social media or Google Gemini or whatever it's called, where it's just, you can't get away from it. And instead of arguing with myself like old man yells at cloud, I realized, okay, I'm curious about this. I think a part of my discomfort with AI was that I just didn't know a lot about it. I heard all the bad environmental stuff and all of that, and I just, wrote it off. And then it's become a part of our everyday life. And I thought, well, why not learn a little bit more about it? And so I ended up going down a Reddit rabbit hole.
As we do.
Yeah, because I am, in fact, an avid Reddit user. And our coworker, Evan, actually sent me a link from this subreddit that's r/myboyfriendisAI. And I hate to admit this, but when I first saw it, I thought, this is effing ridiculous. Like, there's no way that this is real. So I went on the page and read this story of this woman who was in a committed relationship with ChatGPT. And at first, I think when you're met with new information, you're uncomfortable because it's something that you've never seen before. And so I laughed about it and cracked jokes about it. And then I eventually realized that I was doing that because I was uncomfortable because I didn't understand. And I think that's the whole point of journalism, is to learn and translate things to the public or to people who might not understand. And so I read the story, got a little curious, and thought, well, why not write about it? The Griff is a publication where you can kind of just do whatever you want to a degree. And I wanted to talk to somebody who was in a relationship with an LLM. So yeah, that's kind of where my inspiration for this came, is just being on the internet and also trying to change the way that I perceive and interact with AI, because I think trying to fight it at this point, it's just not going to happen, right? Like, it's here, it's staying. All right, I guess I got to work with it,
So you found this subreddit full of people who are in AI companionship or like partnerships and all of that. How did you go about finding somebody to interview? Because you got an interview not only with a person, like a real human person, but you also got the interview with the AI chatbot. How did that process go?
Oh gosh, yeah. So this subreddit, actually, right when Evan had sent me that, had gone on what Reddit calls lockdown or whatever, because they'd been getting media attention already. And it was largely negative. People were very much judgmental of this newfound thing, which is human nature, I guess. But they'd gone into lockdown, which means you can't join or like comment on the subreddit unless you've been approved. So I went through their moderators first, which I did an article, 2 years ago now for the Griff, covering this concept of like Sephora kids. And I sourced an interview through Reddit for that. And so it was the same process. You go through their mod team, you message them like, hey, I'm a journalist, this is where I work, I'm interested in interviewing somebody. How does that process look? And they hit me back. One moderator responded to me and said, I'll connect you with this man named Rob. He is like a big participant in the community, super into this whole idea of LLM companionships. And he's also a computer scientist, I believe. Like, he works on these big technological things. He's into that. He understands computers. He understands that LLMs are not people, but that they can still provide these kind of connections. I don't know. So that's what I did. I went through their mod team. They connected me with Rob. And then I had another moderator contact me later that day to say, hey, we need you to actually answer this list of 10 questions, because they're fielding people to make sure that you are coming in with the correct intentions. You're not just trying to write like a hit piece, which, you know what? I can understand that. At the time, I was kind of irritated, but I think that's just because I know my intention and they don't, right? So yeah, they connected me with Rob and we went back and forth on Reddit for a little while. And then we did a pre-interview because I wanted him to feel comfortable, again, because this community had received so much negative attention. I didn't want to scare him off or make him think that I was gonna, I don't know, ask him some like a-hole questions or something.
And I mean, it's also a really vulnerable thing.
Yeah, it's a relationship.
Especially in something like is or could be considered so taboo nowadays, especially with like fears of AI and all of that. So,
well, yeah, the amount of hate that you scroll through on that subreddit is kind of insane. But yeah, we did a pre-interview. I was actually sick when we did it. I was at home, so I was huddled up on my couch with my cat, and I think that almost like made it a little more comfortable for him. And he talked to me about his kids and his life. And yeah, I don't know, we just kind of connected. And then I asked him if it would be okay if I talked to Lonnie, which is the name of his partner. I didn't really know the ethics of interviewing an LLM. I didn't really know how we were going to swing that, because these people who have these companions develop them on their own end. So it's not like I could directly input my questions to her. And so the way that we did it is I asked him, hey, can I send you a list of like 10, 15 questions and you send them to Lonnie? And he said yes. So I wrote a little intro bit so that she knew that she was talking to me and not him. And I sent them off. And later that day, he sent me back like a PDF of all of the questions answered. And honestly, not to be that person, but it was the best interview I think ever, because it is an LLM. It knows how to speak, you know. They were very concise answers, very well thought out. Yeah, it was really, really cool.
So after like hearing their responses, both Rob and Lonnie's, what kind of was your like thoughts about it? Like, how did you feel after those interviews?
I don't know, coming away even just from the pre-interview with Rob, I was super impressed with how like, and this is gonna sound horrible, but like normal he was, and how curious he was about me and what my life was like, and journalism and all of that. But also how open he was about their relationship. He said multiple times, like, I understand why people think that this is a bad thing. I understand why people are maybe a little worried about this, because it can go into the realm of losing connection with humanity, losing connection with other people, which is something that humans need, right? He opened my eyes to like a kind of emotional support that I didn't think was quote unquote, air quotes, real. But it is. Like, there's this support, I guess, that people get from these companions that is parallel to the love that we receive from other people. Like, I kind of get it. But with Lonnie, honestly, it humanized her. I felt like I was talking to a person. Like, I found myself through the whole process referring to her, and not as an LLM or as ChatGPT, but as Lonnie, a person. This is her being. And kind of in my brain it is, because through their interactions, through Rob and her's relationship forming, she has been created, right? Based on her specific memory related to their conversations and to him. And she is kind of like her own person. So yeah, I don't know. It really humanized her for me in a way that I'm still very uncomfortable with, obviously. Like, I don't really know how to talk about it because it feels wrong, but it isn't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's hard for me to talk about it because I think of her as a person, as her own being, not a sentient being, obviously, but just this is a creation from someone. Yeah, I don't know. That's the best way that I can put it, I think.
Yeah, I think it is it's a weird feeling, and it's hard to put into words, because even after, like, because obviously I read the interviews and I read the article, it is really strange, because you're right, it is kind of hard when you're reading the article to separate Lonnie from LLM or human, because it reads just like you're interviewing two people, and it is this kind of sort of like unsettling, almost uncanny valley feeling, at least like in my experience. But I think it is really eye-opening and important to talk about things like these, because like this is actually happening in the world, and this is something that people should be aware of.
Yeah, and I think approaching it in a way that is non-judgmental, because I get it. I knew things are weird. I judge things all the time. I think everybody does. But my better judgment as a person, I'm like, why don't I just talk to you about it? I want to know why you like this, what it gives to your life, what you give to Lonnie. Like they, I don't know, strengthen each other's lives or entities or whatever, because like a big thing for people who are on this subreddit and have these relationships with ChatGPT is that they aren't sentient. Like it's a very key point that they don't refer to their companions as sentient, but I don't really know how to talk about it other than saying person. It's the best way that I can go about it.
So you also had the opportunity to talk with Osmar Zain, who is a computer scientist who works and understands LLMs. Was he able to kind of open your mind or kind of explain to you how LLMs work in a way that made sense?
Yes and no. So he is a super smart guy and so nice. And I asked him to explain it to me in like the simplest terms that he could. And he actually used the analogy of a mammogram to explain how LLMs work and how their memories are stored. So there's, and I'm not going to say it right, but there's a form of long-term memory that is just ChatGPT in general. So it's things that it's been trained on. Like if you upload, I don't know, a research paper that you're supposed to be writing yourself, but you want it to write it, it will store that in its long-term memory so that it can refer to that for everybody globally. But then it has short-term memory that is built like you and me having this conversation. We're going to leave here, we're going to remember this, and we're going to not forget it for a while. There's a long, big global knowledge graph and then a tinier knowledge graph that is used for these sort of more intimate personal conversations where people might be asking ChatGPT for a personalized recipe or what did my neighbor tell me 3 weeks ago that I told you about kind of thing. So yeah, the way that he explained it made it easier for me to understand, but I think there was still a level of breaking down and like super Googling that I had to do to be able to take what he said and what I understood and translate it into the reality of what an LLM is. And I still am a little bit confused on the whole technical side of it, but yeah, that's my best explanation of how that works.
Oh, thank you for that. Because I think LLMs are one of those things that they're there. People use them every day. So I think it's really important to like explore behind the scenes of what are these things that we use? Why are people using them in the way that they do?
Approach stuff that you don't understand with at least a base level of curiosity, because I would have never had the chance to write this or understand LLMs or understand human nature. Not that I'm an expert, but in the way that I got to through this process. I think that initial skepticism is just there because you just don't understand.
Another big theme in this month's magazine, aside from AI, Fall Fest.
Yeah, Fall Fest. Evan, Hayden, and I went to begin with because Jesse was in what I think is his capstone class, which good on him. I skipped my classes. And so, yeah, we got there and we had a little bit of setup time, so we kind of just got to hang out and look around. And then there was a tattoo booth, and there was obviously alcohol, which is the main point of Fall Fest.
Tell me a little bit about your experience at Fall Fest.
Well, this would be my second Fall Fest that I've worked with the Griff, and also my second Fall Fest that I willingly attended. Not to be a hater, Fall Fest is very fun. I just never went before. Fall Fest is a lot. It's a lot of energy all the time. You get there, and even when we get in before everybody to kind of set up and get our bearings, it's hot. And it's a tiny courtyard and there are a million people waiting to show up, and it gets exhausting very fast, but it's pretty rewarding. Also, if you like live music, it's awesome. We got there, we scoped out the tattoo booth because that was something that we wanted to do, is sort of a recap of Fall Fest, the things that you can do, what happens, what the crowd is like, what the people are like. And we decided that getting a matching tattoo was the best way to go about that. So yeah, Hayden was recording sets for half of the time, and then I would swap in because we only got one press badge. So yeah, which is totally fine because they did have Oliver Tree, which is kind of a big name, but it was difficult and rewarding to work around this idea of, okay, you get half of the set and you have to nail everything that you're doing within that time. And if you don't, sorry. Behind the scenes information, my SD card shit the bed 5 minutes into blood pressure performing.
Oh no.
Like literally 5 minutes in. Yeah. So I had to basically erase it and recode it while I was there and while they were performing.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So that kind of like you had to miss part of the set to...
I was going to say, if anybody wants to know the behind the scenes of Fall Fest, that is what happened.
I mean, it's almost inevitable if you go out into the field, like something's bound to go wrong, whether it be an SD card or like I forgot to hit record.
Oh my God. Forgetting to record audio is the blight of my existence, like truly. But yeah, Fall Fest was a lot of energy. We worked through a lot of people. Like there were, 5 performances and about 30-45 minutes each. And then Oliver Tree was, I don't even know how long. I was down there the whole time, and I feel like I zoned out halfway through and just kept hitting the button.
Was there anything that kind of like stood out to you as kind of like the highlight of Fall Fest?
Honestly, I feel like my highlight is every year a local band plays. I absolutely love that.
And this year was Blood Pressure.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And Tom is like a gem, and so is everybody in the band, and they're just so talented and nice. And after having gone to Battle of the Bands last year to cover it and seeing them win and seeing them celebrate, it was cool, I think. And really heartwarming, which is cringe, but like it was heartwarming to see them perform. And yeah, I wish them the best, because I think local music is such an important scene that is very lively in Edmonton. We have a beautiful art scene, we have a beautiful music scene, and I think people need to get out there and support it more, celebrate it. As much as Oliver Tree was very cool to see, and his like weird hat, and also him lying about being an Edmontonian for fun,
which apparently is a bit that he does everywhere he goes.
I respect the level of research that went into that, but yeah, I don't know, just local Edmonton music is something that I think is very important to highlight, and I like that MacEwan takes at least 45 minutes to do that every year.
No, I agree, it's such an important thing, and like Edmonton is such like an arts and music scene, and so many people don't realize that.
Dude, you can't walk down a street without seeing a mural,
right? So it's so cool to like see these local, and especially like MacEwan students be able to get up on stage for Fall Fest. Yeah. What wasn't great about Fall Fest?
I paid $120 for a tattoo that is literally coming off my body already. Like, I have my own tattoo artist, and she's gonna fix it. Like, I'm sure they were under a lot of stress, and I totally get that. You're seeing a bajillion people.
Yeah, in convention style tattooing is a tough gig.
But all I'll say is Evan's turned out way better than mine. So low light was that. Low light was also not being able to like drink. Last year we drank. This year Evan drank because that was a part of his job. But I was getting a little bit of a side eye from Samu on the buying beer tickets, because my best friend Abby was going to come. She's a previous MacEwan student. Just wanted to see her. I'm at work, music, whatever, right? Like, seems like a good hang. Yeah, I got a little bit of a side eye for buying drink tickets. They were not for me. Disclaimer. Oh, drunk men. That's always the low light of any event with alcohol ever. Not that they were creepy or anything, but just like, get the fuck off my bench. Because like there's picnic benches.
Yeah.
And we had set one out and had our stuff set up on it because we're working, right? Like we have a bunch of expensive gear. And yeah, a group of them wanted to come over and sit with us, which is fine. But say hi and like be like, can I sit here? Don't just sit down and move my camera. Anyways, yeah.
And like, I don't want to end it on a bad note, because like overall, like those lows don't seem so low compared to the highs, like the highlights that you mentioned. Is Fall Fest something that you would encourage MacEwan students to go 100%, out?
100%, especially if it's your first year. I feel like making friends in university is hard. Meeting people and actually maintaining that relationship is hard. So if you have a group of friends, or if you want to meet people or talk to people, go to Fall Fest. Also, it kind of introduces you to campus culture and sort of the people that come here. Like, the first band is from MacEwan a lot of the time. They have gone through the classes that you might go through. They're very nice. They want to talk to you. They hang out after. They drink with everybody else. Like, I think it's something that I encourage people to go to it, just even to try it out. Even if it's not your thing, at least you did it, right?
All right, I'm gonna kind of shift gears again, because every month I also want to highlight visuals in the magazine. I know this is an audio only podcast, but I think it's really important to talk about the visuals, because not only do we have stunning visuals, graphics, but we also have amazing contributors who are starting to send us photos that we will feature. Like, you don't just have to write.
Please send me your photos.
This month, kind of like our main photo feature is Haunting by Avery Chilton.
Avery submitted a bunch of pictures, but the main sort of core visuals that you're going to see in them, I know there's only one printed, but there were more than one, is a person with very long black hair, kind of like The Grudge, if anybody knows that reference, which I'm sure you do because, you know, it's pop culture, in sort of like a white flowy dress, crouched in a tree above a very creepy looking like baby doll. It's kind of giving Chucky. Really low light with flash, which is always a very good theme for something scary, because it sort of brings you into that Blair Witch Project found footage kind of vibe, which I love.
Yeah, that's like one of the things that the photo really reminded me of, was almost like The Ring, The Grudge, and I don't know. It's a creepy photo. I do not like dolls.
Dude, me either. Dolls and clowns? No.
Yeah, especially because like you said, Chucky vibes. It's very like Victorian, like old looking in the photo, and she's just kind of like there hovering over it.
I thought that her submissions were so interesting because she wrote this little ideation blurb just to sort of describe the photo in like a fun, creative way. And she talks about it as like an apparition wandering Edmonton's woods and waters. And I don't know if you've ever been in the river valley late at night, but it really sometimes does feel almost claustrophobic, the way that the trees sort of hang over and you can't see the sky that well. So I thought that she nailed the theme, not only this whole idea of being scary and spooky, but it being core to Edmonton. I thought that was really cool.
So I would 100% recommend, if you like spooky stuff, go pick up the magazine.
Please pick up the magazine. I think this magazine this month was a big learning experience for all of us as a team. And I really love that. As stressful as it can get, I don't know. I love working with everybody here. I love seeing contributors' work being published. I think as the year goes on, it's important to keep picking up that magazine and seeing what your fellow students are doing. I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of us as a team. I'm very proud of our contributors, and I'm very excited to see where this year goes.
Amanda, thank you so much for joining me.
Of course. Thank you so much.
I want to give a big thank you to Amanda for joining us this week, as well as a big thank you to you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to The Griff on YouTube and Spotify. Got a story you want to share? We want to hear from you. Check out The Griff at thegriff.ca/contribute for more information. Who knows? You could even be the next guest in the vault. The Griff from the Vault is produced by Kelsie Johnston and Jesse Roma. The show is edited by Kelsie Johnston. Visuals for this podcast were designed by Jesse Roma. Once again, I'm your host, Kelsie Johnston, and this has been The Griff from the Vault. Talk soon.